And what I'm excited about today is a lot of the people that registered, I don't even know. You're a popular guy.
In my head.
Yeah,
in my head.
So to be transparent, I'm just meeting Matt. So we kind of met through Facebook. Matt reached out to me because of a comment and a thread that was going on in a Facebook group. Realized that Lynn and I have a nice portfolio. For those of you that don't know us, we started young. Our portfolio reached 60 properties 16 years ago. And then we were pretty excited. We got 60 properties. And then the downturn happened. I was like, oh shit, we got 60 properties. No. So we don't have 60 anymore, but we've diversified a little bit into a little bit more commercial. And we're lucky to come through that on the other end and still have a big bulk of our portfolio. So Matt had reached out to me and said, hey, that's kind of an interesting story. I want to know more about that, and invited us to speak at the Utah Valley Real Estate Investors Association, which Matt is the current president of. I think you've been on the board for 8-9 years.
Yeah.
I read your bio a month ago, so I'll see if I can remember it.
You
personally own over $20 million worth of property from what I remember. Have a consulting company as well. I've enjoyed some of his videos on Facebook, and he's a teacher, he's an educator. Not everybody is skilled in disseminating information, and I enjoy watching your videos and the way that you impart. So I'm happy to have him here today. So Matt Atkinson is going to take the stage and move over, and I'm going to try and share his screen while he's introducing himself and getting started, share his PowerPoint.
Awesome. Let's give a warm welcome for all of you guys for showing up. Thank you, round of applause. And if you're not afraid of COVID, please have a seat. It helps me share better. You guys want me to share better so I can deliver better value for you guys. So I was sharing, I'm so glad I'm not sitting down right now. I've got 6 Zoom presentations that I'm doing just this week. This is the only live one, so I'm really excited to be doing this live. So here's what's cool. Raise of hands. If you know who I am, raise your hand. And virtually, if you guys, can I see the?
You want me to put on?
Yeah, I want to see their eyeballs. Yes, okay. I got this down. So raise your hand if you know who I am. Raise your hand if you have no idea who I am. All right, cool. Raise your hand if I've actually talked to you on the phone, but I might not recognize you. Don't take that personally. All right, that means I got to remember you guys. All right, cool. That's a good example. So what's up, Jordy? So John, Kim, Jeremiah, Austin, Stephanie, iPhone, Andrea's iPad, Julieta, Mark Hawes, Alex Clark, Jenny's iPhone, Nathan Jones, love your goatee, Sherry Carlson, Jeff, Brandon Porter. Please all turn your cameras on. So I just sat in 5 days of a Tony Robbins Platinum Partner event. I literally got done last night at 9 o'clock at night. Has anyone ever gone to a Tony Robbins event before? Hashtag say yes. Yes! Right? So literally, I got 60 hours of Tony Robbins, and the nice thing is he only taught about 10% of it. He had tons of affluent billionaires. I'm going to share this because I'm literally modifying my presentation for you guys that I think is more applicable. And I made changes with my amazing team, Kristen in the back, who's sporting myself on her chest. Right, Kristen, raise your hand. Thank you. Then we got Dominic over here. So if I have to call you guys out one more time, Kim, Jeremiah, Stephanie, iPhone, Andrea, Julieta, Mark Hawes, Alex Clark, Jenny's iPhone, Nathan Jones, Sherry Carlson, Brandon Porter, Terry C., Ben Wilson. Please, I want to see your eyeballs because I got called out. There was 340 people in the Zoom Call of Tony event. They were in 29 different countries, all different time zones, and he made sure we were present because as a speaker, I did a lot of work to get on. I wanted to get on screen, not just for my own significance, if that's, you guys understand what I'm talking about, but because I really wanted to ask questions to these really affluent people. So my suggestion is write down your questions, but I'm going to go through a different framework if you guys can write this down. So those of you guys that are at home, if you guys go to MJA Real Consulting, if you have a printer, I'm going to have you print this out. It's called the long-term goals form, okay? So MJA Real Consulting, you guys can go there, grab this form. You guys all have this on your desk, right? I'm going to go through this exercise first because the biggest thing that we took away last night at the end of the day is they said business is a spiritual game. So you got to implement. And I think that's really interesting that they call it business is a spiritual game. So you're going to write your name at the top, okay? Name at the top. You're going to write your name down. So we're taking action to write notes. You're going to write today's date. Today's date is April 13th. If you guys need a pen, There are more pens than extra sandwiches. Okay, so grab one, please. If you speak, they will come. So just you grab a pen, okay? And here's where we're gonna do this exercise. I'm gonna help you identify right now a roadmap from where you are to where you want to go. So when I first started in real estate investing, I did not own any real estate portfolio as a mortgage lender. So real quick comment, this is CYA. CYA means cover your assets, okay? So I gotta show this disclaimer for you guys. But when I first started, this is my family. And I think when I said real estate is a spiritual game, last year on my birthday, my mom passed away on August 2nd, and it totally did a shift in my life. And I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever had your parents pass away or pass away on your birthday, but it really gave me a reflection of what's important. Since then, money's not as important as it used to be for right now. It's all about quality for life. I'm so excited that I can share with you guys today because you can really accomplish anything you want. When I first started, so here's my mom. I'm gonna go back because I love saying that I'm half Mexican. So this is my little half Mexican mom. I look like her a lot. She got all of my talent. So there's what goes there, gives a good example. But my wife's over here. You guys virtually, it's my wife, my stepdaughter, my 2 kids, my sister. Maybe she's watching it, maybe she's not. She's probably not watching it because I'm successful. Hopefully this is recorded. If you guys want to record it, you're more than welcome to. It's my sister and her 5 kids. So here's the cool thing. I definitely have a lot of self-love. So I'm going to share tip number 1. If you guys can write this down. You need to believe in yourself that you can do more than you can. Okay, that's so important. As real estate professionals, I talk to a ton of them. I've been doing mortgages for going on 19 years. Like I can tell the confident versus the less confident, and the less confident ones, right? So when I talk to the merchants on the phone, I was like, whoa, these guys have some confidence. This is engaging. I'm going to talk to you guys for more than 15 minutes. I think we had like a 45-minute phone call. I literally have a hard stop that I'll do a 15-minute call and then that's it. I'm like, I have something else I have scheduled, which I normally do, but I bumped another appointment because like, this is an engaging conversation, right? So number 1 is having confidence. So let's talk about what you're going to do that with financially. Number 1, have a written plan. So that's what we're going to do right now is because I could choose to be done working, doing mortgages, but I enjoy still talking to clients and giving them advice about their life through finances, right? That's what I'm in. I'm in the lifestyle business enhanced with residential real estate and mortgage financing. That's why I choose to be a mortgage lender still. Okay. Number 2, you got to plan with the end in mind. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. Has anyone ever read that book before? Good action takers. Okay. Number 2 is have a written plan. So number 1 is have confidence. Number 2, have a written plan. And number 3, you've got to hang around with people that are more successful than you, period. You got to hang around with people more successful than you. So thanks for the guys that are driving. What's up, Kristen Sherlock? I'm not going to pick on you. Don't worry. Jenny, Mark, Sabrina, Terry, Julieta, Becca, iPhone, Stephanie, Becca. I'm cool that because you're driving. I know that. Okay. So the reason I'm sharing this quick example. So tip number 1, you got to have confidence, right? Tip number 2, have a plan. Tip number 3, you got to learn from people that are more successful than you. All of you guys are more successful than I am in tons of different things. Right? Like half the women have all their hairs longer than mine. So guess what? You have longer hair than I do, right? Half the guys are thinner than I am. Okay. So then guess what? You're more in shape than I am. It's all relative to what you're focusing on. But I'm going to say in the Valley, I don't know anyone else that's more successful than me as a mortgage lender, real estate investor in the state of Utah. And that you can communicate with and chat with. I'm not saying that arrogantly. I just happen to do a lot of loans during the market correction, both nationally and locally. I didn't foreclose or short sell one. So like when they share it on this Facebook group, they're like, hey, we're looking for a portfolio lender that does this many types of loans, blah, blah, blah. And everyone was probably like, me. And I probably didn't say that. I'm like, how did you do that? What did you do to get that many types of properties, right? So bonus question number 1 is be engaging and ask good questions. Most agents to me need to really develop those skills, right? Be engaging and ask good questions. So John Maxwell wrote a book called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions, something like that. Has anyone ever read that before? Cool, we get like the same 3 people raising their hands. So it's good, you should probably start hanging out with the same 3 people, okay? The reason I have the sports things, last year in 2021, the only thing I would have changed is my mom passing away. I wouldn't have changed anything else. I went to Lagoon a ton with my kids. I helped coach Little League Baseball with my 9-year-old son. I'm now the pitching coach, okay? I spent tons of time at home, started working out more, but I love this example because this is all about lifestyle. So I have season tickets to the Jazz, which I didn't renew this year. I had season tickets to Real Salt Lake that I didn't renew this year. I've been to the World Series a couple times, okay? I've gone to the Stanley Cup. I've gone to NBA Finals. Like, I do things that most people just think about because here's, quite frankly, I just take action, right? I like right at a goal. So here's a great extent framework. You guys want to write this down. What do you want? Why do you want it? And then how are you going to go about doing it? What do you want? Why do you want it? And how are you going to go about doing it? Most of you guys focus on the how, like, oh, how do I build a portfolio? Or how do I compete in today's market? Or how do I fill a room with our first weekend open with COVID, right? Like, you just freaking do it, right? Imperfect action is more important than just thinking about it, okay? The second thing, travel. So last year, I was excited to fly to Idaho Falls to go to a baseball tournament, right? Like in June. I've never even been to Idaho. Actually, I went to Idaho twice last year. I went to the financial vet in Sun Valley, which I'd never been to Idaho before. And then I went to Idaho Falls. I'm like, holy shit, I've been to Idaho twice this year. Wow, that's amazing. The previous year, I went to Europe for 6 weeks with my family and worked remotely and killed it in the summer, right? It prepared for me with COVID. Well, here's the cool thing with travel. I'm going to go to Panama and Costa Rica in about 3 months for about 3 to 4 weeks, live, work remotely, live. It's all about providing experiences for my kids. You guys as real estate professionals, you can do the same thing, right? All of you guys, you can work remotely. Third part, Yoda. He's like, either you love Yoda or Grogu, right? So if you love Grogu more, raise your hand. Yoda more. Ooh, no Grogu. We got a couple Grogu fans. Okay, that's good. Okay, cool. And then always be learning. It's super important. So I personally invest about $100,000 a year annually on my self-development. Because the smarter that I can become, it's easier for me to take on things in life. So quick example, I don't get paid for this, but Tony Robbins is doing a UPW, Unleash the Power Within, in June. It's only $400. It's basically $100 a day. I would encourage all of you guys to do that. If you're a little light on funds, that means you need to work harder, okay? Or that means you've had some life circumstances that you need to recover from, which I'm totally okay with. But all of you guys should go to UPW in June. You can go to TonyRobbins.com. It's $400. Watch it virtually. Team up with a team member, but it'll help talk about how to grow. So the cool thing, as we're sharing about this, is you're like, well, what does this have to do with real estate? Everything, right? Real estate investing is an intellectual sport. That's why you have a ton of mortgage professionals that don't know what they're doing as far as investing. I would definitely say there's mortgage professionals that are better overall mortgage professionals, like just slinging loans, but I'm not a loan slinger. I'm a lifestyle creator. You guys want to write that down? What are you doing to create your own life? Or what are you going to do to enhance your own life? Jeremiah, turn your camera back on. Okay, so here's the cool part. So we talked about good job, Jeremiah. Starter, builder, and ender, okay? So here's the life cycle of a real estate investor. The first 10 years as a real estate investor, you're considered a starter. You are all over the place. You're a fix and flipper, land developer, wholesaler, syndicator, storage facilities. I want to get my lending license, my mortgage license, whatever's trendy at the time, okay, which is okay, right? I've used that too. You want to get rentals, you want to dabble in hard money, you want to do lease options, okay? You got to focus on picking a strategy. So here's my first suggestion to complement. Number one, you need to make $100,000 adjusted gross income in your current job before you go pick up another income stream. You guys want to write that down? At least make 100. Number two, have 6 months of living expenses in savings before you do any investments. 6 months. That's not that much if you track it. You can't measure what you don't track. And if this is okay, Jeff, I'll send them what I use for my own tracking. I've been doing it for 14 years. I've been married 14 years. So I'm sending you what I use myself, okay? The third thing, you should have 6 months of operating expenses in your business before you really truly invest. Jordy Clark, I'm talking to you, right? So if you have 6 months of living expenses first, and you have 6 months of business expenses first, then you should start investing in real estate and yourself. Second, builder. A builder has been investing 20 years plus the first 10. So I'm considered a 5th-year builder. I'm only been investing 15 years. You have 2 main revenue streams. You guys want to write this down. 1, rentals or cash flow through rentals, either residential or commercial. Or 2, cash flow through notes, hard money lending, buying or selling notes. I'm going to say this one more time because it's all about cash flow, right? You guys want cash flow. Your agency commission is just, you're only as good as whatever's in your pipeline, actually when it funds. Was anyone in here besides the Marchants active realtors pre-2007? Raise your hand. 1, 2 people. Virtually, give me a thumbs up virtually because I can see that. Do the reaction emoji. If you guys were realtors before 2007, I don't see, I got Jeremiah and I think John, he's got good long hair like I do. Okay, cool. Sherry, you have amazing hair, but you look like you've been a realtor at least 5 years. All right, good job, Sherry Carlson. And she's like, oh, look at my hair, I love it. Okay, good job. Okay, so you guys can't see her reaction, but she's probably like 41. She's like, I like this guy. Is she single? No, I'm married. All right, cool. So the next part, okay, an ender. An ender has 2 concerns. So if you think about it, you've already been investing 30 years as an active real estate investor, okay? They have 2 concerns. Number 1 is preserving capital. They don't want to lose money because they've already built 30 for 30 years. Number 2 is they want to be tax efficient. So for those of you guys that are talking to people that are in their 60s or 70s, that's their concern. They don't want to lose principal, right? They're like, because they don't want to go and work. They've already worked for 4 years of their life, and most of the time they don't like it. And number 2 is they're like, they just bitch about taxes. Oh, I got to pay taxes for this. I got to pay taxes for that. Well, guess what? We live in the United States of America. I'd rather live here than anywhere else. Of all these people that were in the Platinum Financial event, no one complained that they said, I would rather live here. They all would rather live in the US because we have the freedom to do a lot of things, right? Ton of freedom. So as we keep going, local versus national. Here's a couple tips. You guys want to write this down? Tip number 1. Be diligent in the area that you're going to focus on. Okay, so if you're going to go to Idaho, be diligent on your due diligence like you would in Utah County, right? Or if you're going to go to Kansas City, be diligent on your due diligence versus Tallahassee, Florida. I've been to about 19 different cities to vet properties in my career. I still only own in Utah. Davis County, Weaver County, Salt Lake County, and Utah County. I just know the demographics. I know the laws. The largest eviction attorney happens to be my friend. I helped him buy his house when he became an attorney, and I helped him buy a house when a couple years ago, Kurt Collimore Jr., right? Like, there's a good thing that you happen to have like good relationships. And ironically, he was my neighbor on my first house in Orem, and I never talked to the guy because he was the Mormon guy that went to, I was Mormon too, but he was the Mormon married guy that had kids, and I was the single guy that wasn't going to church, right? So, and then he literally sticks his sign in the yard. I'm like, oh, dude, you're selling? He's like, yeah. I'm like, where are you moving to? He's like, I'm going to Oklahoma. I'm like, oh, that's cool. What are you doing? I'm going to go to law school. I'm like, oh, are you going to buy a house? Like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I can help you. So I ended up buying a house, right? Like, I never talked to him for 3 years, but then he's listing, and I talked to him like every quarter. I call him on the phone. He calls me back. Like, it's good to have good relationships, right? So do your due diligence, okay? So fire hose with this information. Jeremiah, you learned one thing yet? Yeah, he's looking at me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, all right. Okay, so I just like choosing him I just like him for some reason. He's like the epitome of what I was not like when I was in college. I went to UVU, no honor code, no GPA, no morals, and Jeremiah went to BYU. Just look at the guy, okay? So there's a good example with it. So here's the purpose. These are all different strategies that you could do with real estate investing. I'm going to focus on rentals because I have 7 revenue streams that earn over $100,000 a year, not net, but gross. If I had to trim them all down, I would do mortgages and keep my rental portfolio, and I would let go of everything else. Okay. But I don't enjoy that. I love variety or uncertainty, as we learned from the 6 human needs from Tony Robbins. So that's what makes us get better and better with what we're doing. Okay. So 2 quick examples. I'm going to say this is Ogden. Okay. So if I was in Utah and I wanted to invest in Ogden, I would go Ogden before I go anywhere else in the United States, or Davis County or Weaver County. Okay. So can you still buy houses, 4-bedroom, 2-bath in Weaver County? Yes. For $250, right? You can buy them all day long. If you guys want to take screenshots, you're more than welcome to. You guys looking at me like, wow, the guys, I don't know if the guys are more interested in me or the girls, right? Like some of these guys are like, wow, we're in love. Some of the girls are like, oh, wish it was him. Okay, the whole point is, right? Like I'm talking about the people on screen too, don't worry. A couple of the girls are like, oh, really? Okay, so here's the point. Short version. Most mortgage professionals will say, hey, you got to go buy a house for $250,000. You got to put 20% down. That works. But there's a better way. You guys can take a photo of this. You put 20% down. You guys know the new person's going to over-improve the property because they watch HGTV, right? And then they over-improve the property, but then they have a cash flow of like 5.9% cash on cash return, which is okay. Okay. The better way, and this is what I like browbeat Jordy Clark for 5 years to do, is you go and buy a property with hard money. You're going to buy it as a pocket listing, right? Or a pre-listing, or you might buy it from a wholesaler. There's a lot of different ways to find properties. There's more ways to find properties than women can look amazing with their hair. Okay. There's just a plethora of ways how to do real estate deals. Okay. So here's what I did at first. I bought properties with hard money. There's a fourplex that Jeremiah Mon wants to buy for me for like $50 million now. There's a fourplex in Center Street in Provo that I bought from a real estate investor with hard money. It's a non-conforming fourplex. That means it's 2 different properties detached on one parcel. The back unit was built in the 70s. The front unit was a house built in the 20s. And I happened to buy it from them. They made $80,000 on an assignment fee, which I was happy to pay because I got a fourplex for a really cheap price. And now it's worth like 700,000 or 800,000. Jeremiah wants to buy it for me for 50 million. But the point is, those relationships are built by just knowing how to do stuff. Does that make sense? Helpful? Raise your hand if this is helpful thus far. Okay, cool. Okay. This is a fundamental part. If you guys, I have a different class online that's very similar to this, that I'll give you the link that you guys can watch this anytime you want, over and over and over again. Okay. It goes a little longer than this process, but I knew that you guys are real estate professionals versus mostly normal people. So I think, well, there's a lot of times I teach non-real estate professionals, so like we don't even know what you're talking about. So I'm going to compress this for you. Okay. So it's also called the Burr method in bigger pockets. I should have called it forced appreciation through renovations, but I just wasn't on Bigger Pockets 13 years ago, or they have my face on it also. Okay. Here's the next part. Starter method. You guys can read this yourself. Learn from other people who are more successful than you. So I also lend hard money. I've done about 450 hard money loans. I've never had one foreclose. I recently bought a note back this year. That's going to be a $30,000 learning experience. I paid the investors their principal back and some interest, which my reputation is more important than $30,000. And I did have one NOD filed that before the foreclosure, they sold 3 days before, about 3 years ago. But even during the downturn of the market, I didn't have one foreclosure. Communicating with your clients is super important without micromanaging. You guys want to write that down? Communicating with your clients is very important versus micromanaging. So like when I follow up with hard money, I just follow up with them 30 days before the note date. Hey, how are you doing? And is there anything do you need to extend? And if you do, can I just get an update with where you're at? Like I'm not every month like, hey, where's your project at? I'm like, people are responsible. I also turn down probably 30% of people. Like I just flat out say, this is the terms, which is so expensive. That's how I turn them down. Okay. Versus me telling them no. I'm like, I know that you get money cheaper from someone else because I don't want to do that deal. Okay. So here's a great example of how I do remodels. Yes. What's your name, sir?
Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
I was just going to ask, so you're a hard money lender yourself. You're out there giving people money to do their deals.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of your biggest forms of income, you said?
That's one of 7.
1 of 7.
Yes.
Okay. And are you getting the money from somebody else, or have you built that up all on your own?
Both. Both.
Okay. Well, can you go over where you're getting it from other people?
Just people contact me all the time. So the question was, for you guys that are on Facebook land, is do I lend hard money? I do. I don't solicit that I lend hard money. You'll never see me speak like, hey, I want to lend hard money. It's all referrals, and more people ask me to borrow money from them than I have more money available than I have deals. I got a lot of people who want me to use their money. Because then I'll talk to them during the week.
Gotcha.
So you just
What
mentioned,
do you do for a living?
I'm an investor as well.
Okay, how long have you been an investor for?
2014.
Good. So what type of properties do you do?
Mostly multifamily, I have 22 units.
Awesome. How many different units do you have among the 22 units? Like, do you have a couple fourplexes and 8? Go ahead.
8.
You have 8?
Yes,
So what's your portfolio of?
mostly fourplexes.
Okay, how many fourplexes do you have?
I have 4 fourplexes.
Awesome. Okay, that's 16. What are the other 6?
I have a duplex,
Awesome.
and the rest are single family.
Awesome. Look, guys, I'm qualifying. You guys see that, right? Cool. So you have, let me see if I heard you correctly. You have 4 fourplexes, 1 duplex,
Correct?
and 4 singles. Is that correct?
Correct.
Cool. And you've owned them since 2013?
No, I started investing since 2014.
2014?
Correct.
Cool. You guys want to cool off script for a second? You guys okay with that? Jeremiah was like, oh, don't go off script. I might lose something. Okay, so, sorry, Jeremiah, I won't pick on you as much. I'll throw
It's all
30
good.
in there now. Okay, so here's a quick example. You guys ready? Here's how I analyze my portfolio every year in November. You guys want to write this down? I don't normally teach this at a free class. This is normally a paid class of $400 or $500. Number 1, I analyze my values on comps from August, September, October, okay? So I want to analyze my portfolio from my summer sales. Number 2, I take the gross revenue and I divide it by my value. I take the gross revenue and I divide it by my value. Number 3, I take into consideration what my depreciation is for taxes if I sold the property. I take into consideration what my depreciation is if I sold the property. Number 4, I'll take what the mortgage balance is. Number 5, I'll take into consideration what the interest rate is. And number 7, I'll establish if this property helps me hit my long-term planning goals. This is not in the presentation, okay? So I'll say it one more time. I take my current value, number 1. Number 2, my gross revenue per month. Number 2, my depreciation. Number 3, the interest rate on the property. Number 4, the mortgage balance. I'm missing one thing. And then I'll see if it hits my long-term goals. Okay? Every November, I do that for the last 5 years, and then I'm already establishing what properties I'm going to sell next year. So it's called planning, right? So let's go back to this exercise. Good question. Was that helpful?
Yeah.
Would you want to borrow money, lend money to me?
Potentially.
Oh, what type of return would you like?
I've never lent money to someone, honestly.
If you just wanted to lend money and you don't have to do anything, you literally
5% up front, 1% a month.
you'd want 5 points up front and 1% a month. Is that correct? Okay, cool. What makes you want 5 points up front?
Safety, knowing I got it up front.
So is it the points up front or knowing you got the money up front?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, cool. So let me clarify. You'd want to charge 5 points up front. Is that correct?
Correct.
So let me clarify. So if you had hypothetically $1 million,
Correct.
you're saying you'd want to charge me 5 points for that $1 million.
Up front.
Yep, $50,000 up front, and then you'd want 12% annually. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just curious, where are you getting that type of return currently?
On my properties.
Okay, let's break it down. Ready?
Yeah.
So are you sure you're yielding 17% annually after all your expenses and taxes?
100% positive.
Are not including your IRR?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So if you take into consideration what your current value is versus what you initially invested, and you still think you're making 17%?
Way more.
Okay, so let's share. So can you share an example quick of a fourplex? Is this helpful for you guys? Raise your hand if this is helpful. All right. So just give me numbers on one fourplex.
Bought a fourplex.
What's the current value?
Current value?
Yep.
Just appraised a week ago for $695.
All right, cool. Can I just round up to 700 because I'm a simple guy?
Sure.
All right, cool. 700,000.
Mhm.
Jordy, you getting this? Okay, cool. Okay, so 700,000, what's the gross rents, please?
1,050 times 4 would be 4,200.
Cool, 4,200, all right, cool. Let's pick the guy that looks like a librarian. Whoever looks like a librarian, raise your hand. If you don't look like a librarian, raise your hand. All right, you guys, okay, yeah, that guy. This your dad?
Yeah.
All right, cool, Dad, you have a calculator by chance?
No.
Who has a calculator besides Jordy? You have one? Go ahead. Okay, cool. Grab your calculator, guys. Come on, this is a difference, right? This is real estate, like higher level versus intro stuff, right? What's your name again?
Dave.
Dave. All right, Dave. So let's take 4,200 times 12.
50,400.
Cool. Divided by 700,000.
.072.
All right. 0.072. Is that 17%?
You're missing a couple of details.
So let me clarify to see if I understand what you're
Well,
saying.
you're saying, yeah, the gross cap rate would be 7.2%, correct?
Okay, so I'm saying right now with your portfolio, not how much you invested initially. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I'm talking about what it's doing now.
Yeah, it's doing 7.2, but I mean, the expenses haven't been.
I thought you said arrogantly, like I would have said, yes, of course I'm earning 17.2%.
I'm earning a lot more, yeah. So I invested, it's leverage.
Hold on, let me go back to my question, okay? I said right now, based on your assets, here's where, when I was less experienced, I thought I was amazing. Now I just think I'm more amazing. I'm a little more experienced. Because that's why I reevaluate. I got a ton of equity in my properties and I'm not earning a high yield. Okay. So I'm reallocating my assets from this weekend, trying to convey this to all of you guys. So if my value is 700,000 and my cap rate or my return on my asset is 7.2%, is that 17%?
No.
Cool.
But I didn't buy it for 700.
I didn't ask that, did I? So I'm not focusing on what it was in the past. I'm analyzing what it is now.
Okay.
Does that make sense with you guys?
Mm-hmm.
So a quick example, the first property I bought with hard money, I was only out of pocket $17,000 and now it's worth $350,000 a magnet. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath on 3270 South Fairlane Drive. I have a same Section 8 tenant in it that's been there, no bullshit, for 9 years. And it's awesome. Now, dude, I'm at like 20% loan to value. My return is very low. How about my initial cash on cash is super high, but my yield right now is really low. So what I want to do is take my capital or my equity, and now I want to transition it into something better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when I started in 2005, I had probably as many, actually, in 2006, I bought 13 properties, all single family residencies. Now they're all worth about 4 million and I owe about less than $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So I got $300,000 in equity that's not really yielding me that much. I sold one to put a pool in. A pool costs $150,000 now. Yay. Okay. But staying married is important, right? So yay. Okay. So the point with that is I'm repositioning my assets into a better property. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I'm sure, what did you buy it for? 325 maybe, or less than that?
Actually, I bought this one for 500.
Okay, you bought it for 500, probably 3 years ago?
Yes.
Cool, good guesses. I just make all this stuff up. Is that good? Is that helpful? I'm just analyzing what you have now. Okay, so here's the success part. I just gave you guys a high level example of analyzing your portfolio. Would you like to understand that more? Raise your hand. Yes? Cool. I'm going to cover that at a different time. But if you guys wrote down those equations, make sense? It will really help you analyze with what you have. So the different way to make money with your portfolio is doing flips, which we're not focusing on today because you guys want to build a rental portfolio to replace your career. So let's go back to this exercise because I think this is a perfect transition, okay? You're going to write how much you want when you're financially free. Financial freedom is do what you want with who you want to, when you want to, off your cash flow. So right now, so I'm going to share this, pretty transparent. Right now, it's about it costs me $20K a month to live the way I live, okay? So I'm not yielding 20K a month off my current assets. I'm earning less than that. Okay. Now, if I got rid of all my staff and I just did mortgages, actually, if I got rid of all my staff and I had one employee, I could live on probably 75% of that right now, but I don't want to live that way. It's not that I'm living bad. I just want to continue to build and grow, right? More legacy. So what I want you guys to do is, how much in assets do you want in retirement? So for you guys watching this, right, grab this real quick. Stephanie, Cassandra, Julieta, Alien, what's up, Elena, Maggie, Terry, Sabrina, Alex, Broderick, Joe Blakely. Elena, turn your webcam on. I want to see your eyebrows. Okay, so write this down. She's my team member. All right, so how much in assets do you want in retirement? Okay, I want you guys to write down how much you think you want when you're financially free or at retirement. So everyone write this down. Don't look at the screen. Here's a good example if you're not sure. Take your the nice lady that's standing behind this merchant, you can have a seat. Yeah, go ahead. Unless there's like a bunch of women down there, it's totally my event. All right, good job. Jeff's Look and My Entertainment, we got a full house. Okay, keep going. So a good example is you can take last year's adjusted gross income and you can times it by 25. We'll give you a stepping point, okay? Last year's adjusted gross income times 25 will give you at least a benchmark. Okay, so mine is 100 million at 65, earning a 10% rate of return. I'm not sharing that to impress on you. I'm just sharing that's what I'm going for.
What was the format?
Yeah, good question. So you take last year's adjusted gross income or your W-2 income times 25, and that would be a starting point. Okay. The next part, all of you guys doing this? Good job, Austin and Sherry. Sherry, I love your hair. Andrea's iPad. Brandon Porter, what up? I love your Hawaiian shirt. Okay, so the next part, what annual rate of return are you seeking from your assets in retirement? So what is the ROI you want to earn? Okay, this is when you don't think too much, you just write down a number, okay? And if you haven't done this before, this is a great exercise that we're doing today. This was well worth the margins. Having a random Facebook comment, then me following up, and then us having an engaging 45-minute conversation, and then we follow up and we have our first COVID class, right? Non-COVID class, yes. Okay, so what's the ROI? And I'll share this. Write down 8% if you're not sure. Is that cool? If you're not sure, write down 8%. All right, the third part. At what age do you want to retire? We should cross that out and put financial freedom. So I'm making a mental note to my team that we update that. Because retiring to me seems like you kind of lose your energy, you're not as motivated, right? So I don't think I'll ever, I think when I retire from this earth is literally when my breath leaves my body. I think I'll do something until I'm not here any longer. I get a lot of fulfillment out of that, or I'm not able to. But for this exercise, write down a number, okay? So here's what's cool. Now you're gonna times it, and you're gonna have some accountability. Is that good? Are you guys married? You guys in the front row? Okay, cool. You're looking at either like you're having an affair or you're married. So either way, like I'm not judging. We are in Draper, so that's cool. Okay. Okay, so with that, we're not in the point of the mountain, Lehigh. That's different. I'd drop 4 swear words out. You guys, even Jeremiah laughed at that one. All right, cool. So with that. So what I want you guys to do is write down the numbers, grab your calculator, please. And we're going to actually come out with some action items. Does that make sense? You guys are going to implement with what we're sharing right now. So you're going to write your name, the start date, right? The start date. You're going to put what you want in assets. You're going to then get your calculation. So does anyone want to be an example real quick? How about the lady with the nice hair? Raise your hand again. Come on, ladies. You got to have more confidence about your hair. Kristen, go ahead. Yay. Yeah, look at that. Okay, Kristen, what did you write down, please?
3 million.
Okay, 3 million. Is that a good? We'll just go through this if you're not sure. 3 million. You still mad at me?
Mad at you?
Yeah, I don't know. You still look very happy. Yeah, there we go. We got a fake smile. All right, good. I like that one.
I just don't understand what you're going with on that. I guess on the 7.2%.
It's all we're doing is evaluating your assets. That's it. We're just evaluating.
Okay,
So
I'll think about it after.
I won't be able to stay after. I got a super productive day. I'm sharing with you what I do every year, just reviewing my portfolio. That's the whole point.
Okay.
Okay. So I got a ton of equity, right? I'm at 70%. I got like $12 million in equity. It's earning me 0. So I don't want to own them free and clear. I want to reposition my properties to earn more money.
Correct.
And I don't want to pull cash out because I'll forget in 10 years when I sell it and I don't do a 1031 exchange. And then I'm gonna have a huge tax liability. And I'm like, oh shit, I wish I would have known this and paid attention to that guy named Matt. Okay, I've already done that before. So I'm just sharing how I analyze my portfolio every November. Cool, good question. I love the fake smile. Okay, Kristen, back to you. So 3 million, okay. What's the return, please?
7%.
Cool, you guys wanna grab a calculator? We'll just do this collectively so we're all on the same page. I think I've got everyone engaged except for one person here, so I think I'm doing a really good job. You guys virtually, you guys are doing awesome. Sorry, awesome, okay. So 7%, now what is that annually?
210,000.
Cool, that gives you an example, 210,000. Now here's the next question. How do you want to be taxed on it? Do you guys think taxes are going up or gonna go down in the future? Up, right? They're gonna go up. Taxes will go up. Always. Okay? So here's what's cool. Here's the solution to own a portfolio. Don't manage your own properties, delegate it to a property manager. Your guys' time as real estate professionals is way too high doing what you do really well. Delegate it to someone else. Is that fair? So I managed 8 properties myself until 2006. And then I hired my first admin at the time. She was 19 years old. Now she's our ops manager. She still works with me. She's Dominic and Kristen's supervisor. She knows her stuff. She's had a baby, so that's been a great learning experience, right? But she's worked with me for 15 years. She is on point, knows her stuff, okay? But I'm delegating things. So with this, what's my recommendation? You gotta know your numbers. You guys agree with that?
Yes.
You gotta know your numbers. So if you think about it, I kind of shared at the beginning, I shared a lot of stuff. Develop 6 months of living expenses, right? And savings. 6 months of business expenses. What's your name again, young man? Jordan. So a quick example, when COVID hit last year, I did everything I can to have 6 months of operating expenses for payroll, not knowing there was going to be PPP money, and 6 months of operating expenses for rent, because I planned on not getting rent for 6 months. So now I have 6 months of operating expenses for payroll. I have 15 team members, so I'm responsible for a lot of people's income, and I have 6 months of payments for my mortgages. So I got a lot of cash hanging out, and I feel really good. Not gonna be like I can sleep. I'm not concerned about that, but I monitor it. Does that make sense for you guys? So by knowing your numbers, if I didn't know my numbers, would I have been able to make moves like that? No way, right? I'd be shooting in the dark. Just like people listing on KSL. They have no idea what the hell they're doing. You guys agree? Yep. Sorry, I don't think everyone laughed because you guys might have some listing on KSL. So I apologize, okay? That's what you guys do virtually. KSL is great, okay? So here's my next comment. As we're building a real estate portfolio, here's what you want to do. So if you guys want to bring an opportunity to me, you can bring it to me first, and if I don't like it, I'll put it under contract and I'll sell it to the markets, okay? That works out really well. But with that one, I'm mostly joking. All right, so here's what I want to know up front, and this is what you guys need to really dial in. What can I get it for, and what is it worth, right? What can I get the property for right now? You don't need to tell me it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath facing the mountain. I don't care about that. You're like, Matt, I got a property. It's worth $480,000, and I can get it to you for $410,000, and it needs $10,000 of work. You're going to rent it for $3,000 a month, and would you like it? You have 2 days to let me know. See how the data up front, what am I going to do? I'm going to grab my calculator, I'll punch it out, and I'll say, oh, I'm interested. Show me a video or other things, then I'll make a decision, okay? So these key questions are important. Anytime someone calls me about a deal, I'm like, sorry, I literally cut them off. What is it worth and what can I get it for? Or what's the ARV, after repair value? Don't tell me a freaking 30-minute story. I don't have time for it. I'm happy to talk to you for 30 minutes about something else. I was so lucky I got 2 margins for 45. It only cost me $1,500. That was a good deal, okay? So here's how I analyze properties as we wrap up, okay? And then we're gonna go back to this sheet. So we establish your guys' long-term plans. Here's a quick example. I bought this property for $8,000 out of my pocket for seller financing about 8 years ago. Here was the need. The dad didn't want to kick out the daughter. Number 2, the daughter hadn't paid rent in 5 months and had a fixed income. Number 3, needed a lot of work. So I said, hey, basically, if I can help you cover the payments and give you $8,000 and deal with your daughter, are you open to selling it to me? Of course. Great. So I solved this problem. What was this problem? You guys remember? Had to deal with his daughter, hadn't got rent in 6 months, and it was needed $8,000. So he signed the property over to me. I took over, all-inclusive deed of trust, and I just barely sold this property for $320,000 2 months ago. How much did we sell for?
360.
Sorry, 360. I don't want to brag. Okay. Round of applause. That's awesome, right? $8,000. Holy cow, guys. Here's the cool thing. If I would have known how to do that before the correction, I'd have 200 properties now. So I'm sharing what can be created as real estate professionals when you actually guys know what you're talking about, right? The only thing I would have done better is I would have bought it in a self-direction. You guys want to write that down? Self-direction, question mark, should I look into it? The answer is yes. Self-direction, question mark, should I look into it? The answer is yes. Okay? So a big key part, I'm gonna have Jorge, Maggie, Andrea. Andrea, is that like a photo or are you moving? You move, Andrea? Okay, cool. I was like, literally, she's so still. Like, you know, like when they have a still photo, like, you look really good, Andrea. All right, cool. So the point, like, you know, the still photos are always like the best ones. You're like, oh, it's kind of like, what's that? What's MySpace? Kind of like a MySpace photo, right? You're like, oh, you don't look like that any longer. All right. Okay, so anyway, I was never on MySpace because I wanted to stay married. All right, so home values above grade or GLA, gross living area. So this is a big, big key that I'm going to say humbly, a lot of realtors need to get better at. Gross living area or square footage above grade is worth more than the total square footage. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when we have a lot of appraisal challenges, you'll say, well, my price per square foot is $382. No. What is the price above grade in comparison to below grade? So the last 90 days, I've done 9 presentations throughout the nation about different real estate strategies like I'm sharing with you guys right now via Zoom. That's why I love Zoom. And there's been appraisers on the phone or on the calls, and I'll ask them questions of, hey, how are the appraisal adjustments differently above grade versus the basement? And normally it's 3 to 1. If you guys want to write that down. So if you think the above grade is it's worth normally 3 times more than the basement if it's finished. It's going to vary depending on if your sugar house, et cetera, different areas like that, but 2.5 to 3 to 1. So that's a great, great example for you guys to look at. Okay. So quick example, you guys can see this. So yeah, virtually. So the house on the left is 1,400 square feet above grade. This is the left. Okay. 1,400 square feet above grade, 600 square feet in the basement. It's got a 2-car attached garage. You guys can see that, and a fireplace. We'll say it's in Conwood Heights. Okay. The house on the right, which is literally across the street, is 1,000 square feet above grade and 1,000 square feet in the basement. So it's still a sum of 2,000 square feet. As you can see, it's got a detached garage, right? It's a I misspoke, attached garage, and it's got a fireplace. Which one do you guys think is worth more? The property on the left or on the right? Raise your hand, the one on the left. Get your hands up, get your hands up. Good, you guys, get your hands up. What up, Kim? What up, Austin? What up, Jeremiah? All right, good. The one on the right. Dude, you got a smart group. Round of applause. You guys all got it right. Good job. Okay, here's what's important. A lot of newer investors don't know this, so they'll underprice their properties. Or the realtors don't know this either because they just haven't learned it yet. This is a learning curve. I didn't know this when I first started doing mortgages. Okay, so learning curve. So here's what's important as we recap this one. You want to learn this with someone that has builder experience. So here's what we're going to do as we finish up. You're creating your massive action plan to implement moving forward. So now you're going to write the bottom blue buckets. So those of you guys that are virtual, grab this sheet of paper real quick and go back to it. You're going to write what you have in assets now. Okay. So in the blue, you're going to write down how much you think you have to the best of your ability. Not equity, not net worth, what you have in total assets. In the green, you're going to write down what you have earned in the last 12 months to the best of your ability. And if you don't know, put I don't know. Can't measure what you don't track. Does that make sense? So we're helping you. What are you laughing at?
Spot on.
Is this your husband too?
No.
Oh, okay. You guys were kind of looking at like at each other.
Or does best.
Oh, I thought, well, he was checking me out, but he's married. So I was like, either way, right? Okay, so you can't measure what you don't track, okay? So blue, to the best of your ability, what have you earned? In red, now you're gonna earn what, how young are you now? So you're putting where you are now to where you wanna go. Now, right? Now the journey begins, which is super fun. The journey begins. So the cool thing is, in addition to the margins, has anyone owned rental properties for more than 10 years? Raise your hand, more than 10 years. Raise your hand high, so don't be ashamed. Hold on. Virtually, I got John, Jeremiah, and Kristen. All right, cool. Now, raise your hand here. We got 1, 2, 3. More than 10 years?
Oh, no, not more.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. More than 15 years. Raise your hand high. 1. Jeremiah, he started, he's 12, and John. All right, cool. So, see, Jeremiah got hooked up because his family's super wealthy. That's why he went to BYU. All right. And he's on the board at, what's NARPM? You still on the board at NARPM, Jeremiah?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, wait until I get involved with NARPM, dude. We're going to freaking blow that up. All right. Okay, cool. So here's the whole point. It's progress. So what we're going to do, can I have 2 more minutes? Is that okay? Okay. I'm timing myself because it's important. I'm conscientious of your guys' time and I appreciate it. What I want you to do is now implement, okay? The last sheet of paper that you guys have is 1, 2, and 3. You guys see that? You guys go on the website. It's called accountability form. 1, 2, and 3. I want you guys to write down your top 3 things you're going to implement, and then I'll show you the sequence, how we can implement from here, okay? So what I learned, or what you're, does that make sense? So on number 1, what's your good-looking couple? What's your name?
Eric and Michelle.
Okay, so does she wear the pants too? Okay, good. All right, Michelle.
Well, you looked at me, but you said.
How do you know I wasn't looking? How do you know I was looking at her, dude? You're just checking me out. I was like, dude, look at that. It's like this guy, these 2 guys over here. Like I'm in Utah County. All right, Michelle. What was your top takeaway? What's one takeaway, real quick? We'll go through this exercise. Is that okay? Okay. Did you learn anything, or was I just entertaining?
Entertaining.
All right, then I did my job. All right, good. Okay, Eric, what did you learn?
I think probably the sooner you start, the better.
Okay, so let's write down the sooner. So get started now. You guys okay with that? Yep. Get started now. Write that down. You're now going to write down 3 action items to progress. And if you're already starting, you're just getting better with what that is, right? I spent 60 hours at Tony Robbins, and I was on screen multiple times, and I was able to ask questions. And the biggest thing at the end is like, imperfect execution trumps thinking about it all damn day, right? So make progress now. The nice lady with the cool boots. What's your name? Audrey. Like, a lot of women have cool boots, but you were looking at me. Audrey, Kate, what's one thing that you took away, please?
To get started now.
In addition to get started now, what's another thing you learned?
Self-direction. Should I look into it? Yes.
Yes. So should you look into self-direction? As the answer is yes. Okay. We'll do one virtual besides Jeremiah or Jordy because he has something in his mouth. I'll go with my favorite, Sherry Carlson. Sherry Carlson, if you don't mind unmuting yourself, what did you take away, please?
I took away what do you want? What do you want? Why do you want it? And how are you going to get there?
Nice. I love that part. Awesome. Awesome. So it's the what, why, and how syntax. If you guys want to learn more about that, this is okay. Did you collect everyone's information here that signed up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Can we get it to send them stuff after? Is that okay? You guys okay with that? Raise your hand if you're not okay with that. Okay, good. Everyone did not raise their hands. All right, cool. So here's what I'll do. As I wrap up, every month I teach one free class at night. The next one's called 5 Ways to Force Appreciation Through Renovations. I'll go more of the remodeling process. It's free. I'll do it live and virtual. It will be in May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Yeah, is that sick or what? May the 4th be with you. Okay, so I love Star Wars. So what we'll do, there's 3 things I'm going to give you guys, okay? One is I'll give you a spending plan worksheet so you can track where you're at financially. Number 2 is I'm going to send you an asset analysis accountability worksheet, What that will allow us to do is find out what you have in total assets to help complement this, because a lot of your guys' eyeballs are like, whoa, this is all over the place. It's not really, all it is called planning. The third thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you a second class. It's called How to Take 25,000 and 250,000. Would you guys like that? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I appreciate your time. This was awesome. Here's what's cool. What I'd love for you guys to do for the Marchants, and I really love Facebook. It's so weird, only because I'm over 40. I'm not on Instagram. I gotta stay married, right? So the whole point is, you guys notice I'll say that one a lot. That's a joke, Sherry. I know you're on Instagram. Okay, so the point when I said that, she's laughing. She's like, no, I'm not. So the point, do a Facebook review for the Marchants, regardless if you are an EXP realtor or not. Is that fair? Check them out. I know EXP is really progressive, but what's more importantly is you guys can continue to grow, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Wow, who thought that was amazing?
Yeah.
Another clap. Matt brings a good energy. Good energy. That's hard to match. So, he's right on time. I appreciate you keeping track of time. He's out of here on to something else.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Matt. We appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Lot of good value there. I totally encourage you all to take him up on that offer to seek out his future classes. And for you guys on Zoom, if you got any final comments, speak up now. Otherwise, I'm going to shut that down and we're going to visit here locally for a little bit. Good seeing you all. All right, guys. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon.